Good evening. My name is Shaun Waterman, and I'm an atheist. Any other atheists in the house? Yeah? All right, good. See you later in the pit of fire. My girlfriend's an agnostic. That's like an atheist that's had a heart attack, really, isn't it? But one of the problems I've noticed over the years with being an atheist, what do you call out when you're coming? Nothing! Oh, nothing! Luckily, that's not a problem for me because I'm such an egoist that I call out my own name when I climb out. So, I'm a reporter, and, like a lot of my colleagues since September the 11th, with varying degrees of reluctance and enthusiasm, I've been writing about terrorism and terrorist threats. And the other day I was at a big conference about radicalization, and it's winding down at the end of the day, and I find myself thinking, these people are right. This is dangerous. I mean, I remember how angry I was as a teenager, and now these kids can get on the internet, they can find all this extremist propaganda, they can find out, how to make explosives and so on, and they can become lone wolf terrorists. And then it strikes me like a bolt from the blue that I have done what we in the business, and by we I mean the English, and by the business I mean colonialism, I have done what we in the business call going native, which is that I have spent so much time with these, counter-terrorist specialists and these radicalization experts that I've absorbed their value system. I've started to think like they do. Whereas as a reporter, the question I should have been asking myself at the end of that day was, where's the bar? So, speaking of drinking, my girlfriend's just given up drinking for a bit, just to detox and lose a bit of weight. And I've been supporting her. I've also stopped drinking during the day. So that's worked out for both of us. But actually, she's not my girlfriend anymore because we're going to get married. So thank you. So now she's my ball and chain to be, or fiancé, as apparently I'm learning she likes to be called. And there's a lot of this, a new terminology, with this wedding stuff, that I'm learning now, like wedding surcharge, and the flower arrangement is how fucking much. But I find. Anyone here from working cable news? Anyone? No? Fuck them then. So I find personally that, increasingly I find it unwatchable in the United States. Cable news, unwatchable. I mean, there's too much opinion. And I mean, as we all know, opinions are like arseholes. Everyone's got one. But do you know another way in which opinions are like arseholes? I don't like to watch them being mouthed by Chris Matthews on television. But, and it's not a partisan thing, I don't like to watch Bill O'Reilly mouthing them either. Or Rachel, well, anyway. So I do have to watch a lot of cable news, unfortunately, in my job. And I saw Bill Bennett the other day, who always sort of reminds me of a fat Ted Danson. I saw Bill Bennett the other day say that apparently more kids than ever are seeking help about marijuana. Really? Kids? Seeking help about marijuana? What, like, where can I buy some? The other thing that, that really I find unwatchable is E! News. Anyone ever watch that? E! News? I mean, it's like it apes a real news program. There's 6 or 8 items, and you've got to figure the 2 or 3 people working all day on each one. So that's like, 20 or 30 people in an office. And I'm watching it, and all I can think is how much more entertaining it would be if they just set themselves on fire and broadcast that. I'd watch that. I mean, you know, with all the unrest in the Middle East these days, I've been watching a lot of Al Jazeera English. It's great. Anyone here watch that? Anyone? Okay. Well, you know then, I mean, it's a great TV channel, but God, do they need some new voiceover people? From people making the news. I mean, you know, get someone who doesn't sound like the narrator of the Saw movies, for God's sake. I did have a moment, actually, with an Al Jazeera reporter the other day when they had just started bombing Tripoli, and she's there, you know, doing a live, and she's like, oh, I can hear some explosions and some gunfire behind me. Let me turn round so that the microphone can capture. No! No! I'm shouting at the TV. No, don't turn round so that the microphone can capture the sound. Get down. It's, you know, I mean, bless them, because they're doing difficult and dangerous. Well, it's a lot more dangerous than watching the briefings on the internet in your stretchy pants, which is the way I've been reporting events in Libya recently. One of the things that I found really difficult to get to grips with in Washington, because, you know, as you can tell, I'm not from round here. I live in Adams Morgan. But one of the things I've had a real problem with over 10 years getting to grips in Washington is the language. And I don't mean by that you all speak some kind of bastardized pidgin English. What I mean is the fact that no one in this town will actually come out and say anything directly. You know, it's all circumlocution and euphemism, like, you know, enhanced interrogation, climate change. It's lovely, isn't it? Change. I mean, it's all in one direction, of course, but change sounds so much more positive and hopeful, doesn't it, than global warming. And, you know, there are entire organisations that make a living producing reports full of this sort of circumlocutory bullshit. Like the GAO, right? You know, the department attempts to revive a dead equine with a whip are meeting strategic challenges. Translation, you know, DHS's efforts to flog a dead horse are fucking useless. Or, you know, Hawaii, confronting the challenges of sea level change. Translation, 50 years, you're underwater, motherfuckers. I got a press release the other day for a book called Obama, Politics and Religion. I mean, that's not a book title, is it? That's a list of topics you avoid at a dinner party. But talking of politics, a lot of my Democratic friends very excited about Michelle Bachmann's decision to form a exploratory committee. My Democratic friends all, you know, really want her to run. They think she'd be, they think that'd be great for the Democrats. They think that'd help the Democrats win. And I think that's sad, because it's not right to take advantage of the mentally ill that way. So, I'm going to want to finish with a joke, right? So it's the fall of 2004. The presidential election is on-rushing towards us, and the Dalai Lama is taking a walk on the dock of the bay, as you do, when suddenly he sees in the water John Kerry being attacked, the then presidential candidate for the Democrats, being attacked by a shark. So he gets out his cell phone, he's about to dial 911, when up zooms a huge speedboat, and in the prow are President George W. Bush and Vice President Dick Cheney. And they drag Kerry and the shark out of the water and start beating the shark to death with baseball bats. Well, the Dalai Lama's very impressed. He wanders up to the end of the pier and he says to them, "My children, that was a karmically beautiful act. You know, you have rescued your political opponent from certain death, and you will be rewarded on the wheel of life." And off he goes. So Bush turns to Cheney and he says, "Who the fuck was that, Dick?" Cheney says, "That, sir, Mr. President, that was the Dalai Lama, the reincarnation of the living Buddha and the most enlightened human being on the face of the earth." And Bush says, "Is that right? He doesn't know much about shark fishing, though. How's the bait?"
Well done. Well done, Shaun. I do wonder how much of that would have been funny without that great accent, though.